Now that we've discussed both our physical and internal barriers to listening, we are prepared to put into action tip number 3. And tip number 3 is to use nonverbal encouragers. This is a program on active listening, so it is important to be active. Encouragers are a way to signal to another person that you are paying attention, that you are engaged with them, that you respect them, and that what they are saying matters. Encouragers also encourage them to continue to communicate. So here is a short list of nonverbal encouragers. Eye contact. Eye contact is a very powerful nonverbal encourager. Looking someone in the eye is the most basic of nonverbal encouragers. Lack of eye contact signals disinterest, whereas eye contact is not only socially appropriate, it sends a message to others that you are paying attention to them, that you are focused on them, that what they have to say matters to you. Now, here's one important note. This is a culturally bound norm. It doesn't hold true across every culture. For example, here in the United States, we believe that looking people in the eye is a sign of respect, whereas in some cultures, looking people in the eye is considered questioning behavior or even disrespectful to certain people in authority positions. So recognize that while here in the U.S., eye contact is very important and appropriate, it may not always be appropriate in every situation. But here it is one of, if not the most basic nonverbal encouragers. And failing to look people in the eye can signal extreme disinterest. Another nonverbal encourager would be smiles and other facial expressions. Smiles, eyebrow lifts, and other facial expressions express interest and involvement. Now, of course, we're not talking about a cheesy grin or anything that's fake and phony, but it's simply having some animation to your face that shows that you are comprehending and that you are paying attention. Very related to smiles and other facial expressions would be our final nonverbal encourager category, which would be head nods or tilts. As with other nonverbal encouragers, this expresses interest. Now, of course, you don't want to do any of these in the extreme, and you want to be careful if you're nodding your head and they're asking for your agreement and what you're really trying to convey is comprehension or involvement. We've got to be careful about how we use these kinds of encouragers, but overall, if we are active nonverbally, if we are leaning forward into the conversation, if we are using all of our concentration and efforts, we're going to be sending the message that I am listening to you. Nonverbal encouragers are obviously integral to active listening, not only because they help the speaker to feel valued and to keep speaking, they also help keep you, the listener, focused. They make the listener an active participant in the conversation. And the same goes for tip number 4, verbal encouragers. Verbal encouragers play the same role as nonverbal encouragers. And here are some of the most popular forms of verbal encouragers. Or oh, or ah, anything that says, oh, yeah, I'm listening to you. Everybody's got their own unique version of those. And even short responses such as, oh, really, or interesting, or I agree. Anything that is a verbalization of interest. Now, tip number 5 is such a powerful verbal encourager that it's a tip all on its own. Ask open-ended questions. So tip number 4 is the verbal encouragers, and tip number 5 is to ask open-ended questions, a form of a verbal encourager. Open-ended questions are very different from closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions are those kinds of questions that solicit or elicit a yes or no response or one answer. For example, did you get the report done? Yes or no. That's kind of a yes or no question. People can say either yes or they can say no. You can even say, when did the report get done? And if they say 2 o'clock, you've asked them a closed-ended question. When did it get done? That's still only one answer. Whereas an open-ended question might sound something like, hey, what's the status of the report? Or bring me up to speed on the report. That's an open-ended question because it allows the respondent to give us more than either a yes or no or one right answer. So open-ended questions, in contrast to closed-ended questions, keep conversations moving forward. They express interest and involvement, and they help with the digestion and comprehension of information. When you ask open-ended questions, you're also helping yourself understand or comprehend what's going on. Now, my favorite open-ended question, and remember, these are also forms of verbal encouragers. My favorite open-ended question is, hey, that's interesting. Tell me more. And sometimes, would you tell me more? Can you tell me more? You can turn it into a very literal type of question. That's interesting. Tell me more. That encourages people to give you more information. And it's amazing what can happen when you have more information. Now, open-ended questions can also help in the practice of tip number 6. Tip number 6 is to listen with purpose. Active listeners often overcome some of their personal listening challenges by listening with purpose. Sometimes it's easier to listen to those we might struggle with, maybe those that we have some of those barriers or biases or prejudices against. It is easier for us to listen to those that we might struggle with if we are listening for something specific. So here are a few ideas on ways to listen with purpose. Now remember, these are things that are going on for you internally to help you stay focused and open-minded and attentive. So ask yourself internally, again, this is an internal question, what is their main point or what are their main points? What is it that they're really trying to say? What's the bottom line? Or what is going unsaid? What are they not saying? Another great question to ask yourself is, what are they afraid of? Now, again, remember, you don't say these out loud. You don't go up to somebody or have during a conversation, what are you afraid of? It's simply a way for you to be listening purposefully, to be listening for perhaps the unspoken message. Another great question to ask yourself is, what is their or what are their ultimate goals? What are they really trying to accomplish? These questions can focus your mind, can drive out some of the distractions, because quite frankly, some people are hard to listen to. Maybe it's even the tone of their voice that you find difficult or annoying. And if you can listen with purpose, it makes it easier to get past your personal listening challenges. While these are not the only questions you can use that can help you listen with purpose, they are some of the most helpful, and there are many others that can help you stay focused on the conversation or the core message of the conversation. Sometimes the speaker's style or other barriers can make it difficult, and sometimes it's as simple as tone of voice or a thing that they do with their hands when they speak, and it can be difficult to stay focused or intentional. Think about what kinds of questions you could ask to help focus your mind, to help you listen with purpose, because listening with purpose can help us overcome a lot of our barriers.